Journaling, you either love it or you hate it, or maybe you're about to try it and just need a little guide. In this video, we're going to cover 5 useful tips and one extra thought-provoking question in the end to help you add extra value to your journaling session. It is always good to start with a question, how are you feeling today? Usually we can notice when our moods or thoughts change throughout the day. However, we don't tend to do it intentionally. By journaling, you're providing yourself with a safe space to focus on all those emotions and thoughts that have been crossing your mind throughout the day. If you find yourself worrying about something, one of the best techniques that I've recently learned is called 5 whys, which essentially lets you to get to the bottom of the problem a bit quicker. By checking in with yourself in that way will also help you to recognize any triggers or potential patterns that you might want to avoid in future. Answering this question can also help you identify what truly makes you happy. Which slowly brings us to our next question that you might want to ask yourself, which is, what have I learned about myself recently? Most of us think that we know ourselves pretty well. For example, we say, I need to have coffee at least 3 times a day, or I just cannot function. Even if it actually makes us feel more anxious and on edge. Ask yourself, how have I grown in the past 1 to 3 months? Maybe you told yourself that you will be going running every Saturday, but now you realize that actually you don't like running that much. But you've stayed pretty committed to your yoga class. Or maybe you've picked up meditation recently and realized that it actually helps you to stay focused for longer. No matter what your answers might be, it's extremely important that you stay honest with yourself and list not only your achievements but also your mistakes. And remember, it's absolutely fine if you haven't achieved as much as you would like to. You're only human, and it's never too late to focus on our third point. Which areas of my life could I focus more on? This question invites you to explore some areas of your life that you might have been neglecting. For example, if you've been neglecting your exercise routine, you might want to think about setting some time aside on the weekend. Or maybe you just don't enjoy exercising on your own and you would actually benefit from either joining a class or going for a run with your friend. Or maybe you simply haven't made it convenient enough for you to start those new things. You know how our mind works, out of sight, out of mind. Isn't that what they say? If you would like to start reading more, then make sure that your book is lying right next to your bed so it's easy for you to get it. Or for example, if you need to declutter your wardrobe, try to break it down into 5 or 10 minute slots instead of a whole hour. That way you're guaranteed to make a start. Most successful people also talk about another happiness boosting point, which is gratitude. So ask yourself, what 3 things am I grateful for? It could be either today or maybe in the last 1 or 3 months. You might have already heard this quote from Oprah Winfrey. Focusing on one thing that you're grateful for increases the energy of gratitude and rises the joy inside yourself. Don't put too much pressure on yourself trying to find what to be grateful for. It can be just as simple as spending an extra hour or 2 in bed on a weekend, or having a nice bath after a long day at work. See, it's really easy, and the research also shows that people who practice gratitude tend to perform better academically and have increased energy and enthusiasm. And now we're coming up to our last question that could be surprisingly useful as well. So ask yourself, which traits do I admire in other people? How much closer you've become to them? See, comparing yourself to other people is not always a bad thing. It doesn't mean that you're trying to change yourself or think that someone else is better than you. In fact, it's quite the opposite. It means that you're trying to connect to yourself on a bit of a deeper level. Because noticing certain traits in other people usually is a reflection of your own values that you just happen to notice in other people. It's a great way to learn about yourself and explore your values. And now it's time for our bonus question. If I didn't have to worry about my fear of judgment or failure, what would I like to do for my career or hobby? Or, in other words, ask yourself, what am I curious about? What makes me feel energized? Or what keeps my attention best? Maybe it would be helpful for you to make a little list of, say, 3 or 5 things that you found that you would love to do, but are currently being controlled by your fears or anxieties around what other people are going to think if you do them. Or maybe you just haven't started because you have a fear of failure. By listing them down on a paper or on your phone, you can start slowly working towards the goal of achieving those things, and don't put too much pressure on yourself to start doing it right away. Try to set realistic deadlines for yourself, and this way you will be kept accountable for your own progress. The main aim of this exercise is to help you to increase your confidence and maybe recognize certain barriers that you've put out for yourself, so you can start removing them slowly and consciously allow yourself to explore those areas of your life. It's also important to stay kind to yourself throughout the whole process, and if you do make a start, it's important to remember that to get good at something takes time. So if you picked up a new hobby, you started learning to draw, remember it takes time to polish that skill. I found this quote recently, and I think it's quite relevant to this exercise. So the quote is, any person in your shoes with your exact experience of life would probably, most likely, arrive at the same position or thought you arrived at. At the same time, try not to overwhelm yourself with all the projects and the deadlines that you want to achieve. It's important to keep your expectations realistic. Try to plan mindfully and start by tackling the priority deadlines first. Also, don't be afraid to change direction. If something is not a priority for you any longer, don't be afraid to change and reprioritize and reassess your progress. It is also important to decide if you want to do digital journaling or paper journaling. Some people prefer using their phones or certain apps that allow them to access their diaries quickly. Another thing to consider is journaling digitally will allow you to type much faster. If you catch yourself at some point during the day when you have this idea that you need to write down quickly, this could be very useful. However, other people might prefer journaling in a more old-fashioned way, as that way they're getting this little break from a digital world and they find the experience more mindful. So it is really up to you, and you can definitely use both methods as they're both great for different types of situations. I personally find it very useful to jot down certain quotes that I hear from listening to a podcast or reading somewhere, because I think that if something resonates with you, it's important that you write it down so you can look back at it whenever you're feeling low or need a little boost of confidence or reassurance. Overall, I really hope you've enjoyed this video and found it helpful. And just in case you were wondering, what is this beautiful place I've been showing you in this video? It's actually located in Wales. It's a little Italian village called Portmeirion. I'm not sure if I pronounced it correctly, but I'll link it in the description bar below. So if you are in Wales at any point, you're more than welcome to visit this place. It's absolutely stunning and really good and relaxing for a day out. If you have any more tips for journaling, please let me know in the comment section below, as it is very helpful to share these little experiences with each other. And don't forget to like this video and subscribe if you like this content, and I will see you soon in the next video. Bye!